Does it make you feel like you've really fulfilled your life, that you've done everything you've wanted to do?
I surpassed all dreams I've ever had.
What really happened to Merle Haggard? Merle Haggard, an undisputed icon of country music, whose raw talent and unfiltered honesty left an indelible mark on the genre. But behind the accolades, the gold records, and the legendary status lies a story steeped in hardship, redemption, and resilience. What untold truths did his final years bring to light? Born into a world shaped by poverty and personal loss, Merle's life was far from easy. From a troubled childhood and time spent behind bars to a meteoric rise in the music industry, his journey was one of both extraordinary triumphs and devastating trials. Through his music, he became the voice of the working man, the outcast, and the dreamer. But beneath the spotlight, he battled demons that shaped his art and defined his legacy. This is the story of a man who transformed his pain into timeless melodies, who faced the struggles of fame, family, and his own past head-on. Join us as we delve into the life of Merle Haggard, a tale of rebellion, redemption, and the relentless pursuit of meaning in a world that often seemed stacked against him. Merle Haggard's story begins in Oildale, California, during one of the darkest periods in American history, the Great Depression. Born on April 6, 1937, he was the son of Dust Bowl refugees who fled Oklahoma in search of a better life. His family's struggles were evident in their modest living conditions, residing in a converted boxcar that offered shelter but little comfort. Poverty wasn't just a backdrop for Merle's early life. It shaped his very identity and would later fuel the authenticity of his music. Tragedy struck the Haggard family when Merle was just 9 years old. His father, James Haggard, passed away suddenly from a brain hemorrhage. This loss devastated young Merle, robbing him of his greatest role model and plunging him into a deep sense of abandonment. Reflecting on this pivotal moment later in life, Merle admitted, "When my dad died, something inside me broke, and it never fully healed." The absence of his father cast a shadow over Merle's childhood, creating wounds that would resonate in his music and his life. As Merle grappled with this profound loss, his behavior grew increasingly rebellious. Without a guiding hand, he found himself drawn to trouble, starting with petty theft and escalating to more serious offenses. By the age of 11, Merle was already a familiar face to local authorities, earning a reputation as a defiant and restless youth. His mother, overwhelmed and unable to manage his behavior, eventually turned him over to juvenile authorities, declaring him incorrigible. This marked the beginning of a turbulent chapter in Merle's life, as he cycled through juvenile detention centers and reformatories. Despite the efforts of these institutions, Merle's defiance only deepened. He became known for his repeated escape attempts, 17 in total, earning him a reputation as a troublemaker who couldn't be contained. This pattern of rebellion continued into his teenage years, with Merle becoming a regular in the California juvenile justice system. Merle's defiance eventually led to more serious consequences. In 1957, at the age of 20, he was arrested for attempting to rob a roadside diner. This time, there would be no escape. Convicted of attempted robbery, Merle was sentenced to time in San Quentin State Prison, one of the most notorious correctional facilities in the country. In the harsh environment of San Quentin, Merle faced the grim reality of his choices. He was surrounded by hardened criminals and forced to confront the consequences of his actions. The experience marked a turning point in his life. It was here, amid the bleakness of prison life, that Merle began to reflect on his future and consider the possibility of redemption. Merle Haggard's early life was defined by hardship and rebellion. Yet, these struggles would lay the foundation for the man and the artist he would become. The pain of losing his father, the anger of a youth spent in turmoil, and the lessons learned behind bars would all find their way into his music, shaping the voice that would one day captivate the world. In every note he sang, you could hear the echoes of his past, a testament to the resilience and authenticity that made him a legend. In the cold, unforgiving walls of San Quentin State Prison, Merle Haggard faced a turning point that would alter the course of his life forever. Sentenced for attempted robbery, the young man who had spent his life running from authority now found himself trapped in one of the most notorious prisons in the country. It was here, amid the chaos and despair, that Merle's transformation began. The pivotal moment came on New Year's Day in 1958, when country music legend Johnny Cash performed for the inmates at San Quentin. For Merle, this wasn't just a concert, it was a revelation. Sitting in the audience, he watched as Cash commanded the stage, connecting with the men not as criminals, but as people with stories, struggles, and worth. Cash's raw energy, humor, and defiance resonated deeply with Merle, who later admitted, "I didn't care for his music before that day. But in that moment, I saw a man who understood us, who was us." The performance was electrifying, but it was Cash's empathy that left the greatest impression on Merle. Unlike others who viewed inmates as outcasts, Cash treated them with dignity, acknowledging their humanity in a way few ever had. It was a spark that ignited something within Merle, a realization that music could be more than entertainment. It could be a means of redemption, a way to channel his pain and find purpose. But the journey to redemption wasn't immediate. Merle's time in San Quentin was still marked by defiance and rebellion. He was tempted by an opportunity to join a planned escape attempt, a decision that could have ended his life. Merle ultimately chose to stay behind, and the choice proved life-altering. His friend, who led the escape, killed a highway patrol officer during the attempt and was sentenced to death. Watching his friend's execution served as a grim reminder of where his own life was headed if he didn't change course. Merle later reflected on this moment with a mix of sorrow and clarity. "I remember thinking, that could have been me on death row," he said. It was a wake-up call like no other. This chilling realization became the catalyst for Merle to reevaluate his choices and consider a different path. A path where music could be his salvation, rather than his undoing. Inspired by Cash's performance and haunted by the consequences of his own actions, Merle began to focus on music with renewed determination. He spent countless hours practicing the guitar, honing his songwriting, and dreaming of a life beyond the prison walls. Music became his refuge, a way to process his emotions and envision a future free from the mistakes of his past. By the time Merle was released on parole in 1960, he was a changed man. The fire ignited by Johnny Cash and the lessons learned from his time in prison had reshaped his outlook on life. He left San Quentin not as the man who entered, but as someone ready to channel his pain into something meaningful. This turning point set the stage for a career that would not only define country music, but also prove that redemption is always possible, even for those who've walked the darkest paths. After his release from San Quentin in 1960, Merle Haggard faced the daunting challenge of rebuilding his life. With a criminal record and a past riddled with rebellion, opportunities were scarce. Yet, armed with the lessons learned in prison and a newfound determination, he set out to pursue his passion for music. Starting small, Merle performed in local clubs and honky-tonks, earning modest pay while refining his craft. These early gigs were far from glamorous, but they gave him a platform to connect with audiences through his raw, heartfelt performances. His authenticity began to catch the attention of local musicians and promoters, paving the way for his entry into the professional music scene. The turning point came when Merle signed with Capitol Records in the early 1960s, a partnership that would define his career. In 1963, he released his first major hit, "Sing a Sad Song." The song, which reached number 19 on the Billboard country charts, resonated with listeners and showcased Merle's ability to channel deep emotion through his music. While it didn't immediately catapult him to stardom, it marked the beginning of his rise in the country music world. Building on this momentum, Merle released a string of hits that would solidify his place as one of country music's most iconic figures. Songs like Mama Tried, The Fugitive, and Branded Man drew from his own life experiences, weaving tales of regret, redemption, and resilience. These tracks not only resonated with fans, but also introduced a level of authenticity rarely seen in country music at the time. In 1969, Merle released Okie from Muskogee, a song that would become one of his most enduring and controversial hits. Written during a time of cultural upheaval, the song was embraced by Middle America as an anthem for traditional values. While some viewed it as a critique of the counterculture movement, Merle later explained that it was more of a reflection of his upbringing and the values of his audience. Regardless of its interpretation, the song cemented his status as a voice for the working-class American. Merle's ability to blend personal storytelling with broader social commentary became a hallmark of his music. He captured the struggles, hopes, and fears of ordinary people, making his songs relatable to a wide audience. His deep, emotive voice and unfiltered lyrics struck a chord, earning him a devoted fan base that spanned generations. Beyond his impact on country music, Merle's crossover appeal brought him mainstream success. Tracks like Silver Wings and If We Make It Through December showcased his versatility, appealing to listeners beyond the traditional country demographic. His music transcended genre boundaries, proving that the themes of hardship, love, and perseverance were universally understood. By the mid-1970s, Merle Haggard was a household name, celebrated not only for his musical talent, but also for his authenticity and connection to his audience. His rise to fame was a testament to his resilience and ability to turn his struggles into art. Each hit song was a chapter in his life story, and through his music, he gave a voice to those who felt unseen, creating a legacy that continues to resonate to this day. Merle Haggard's personal life was as tumultuous as the themes he often explored in his music. Over the course of his life, he married 5 times, each relationship filled with its own share of passion, conflict, and heartbreak. These unions reflected both the complexity of Merle as a person and the challenges he faced offstage. His first marriage, to Leona Hobbs in 1956, was marked by volatility from the start. At just 19 years old, Merle was still grappling with his troubled past, and their relationship quickly became a storm of constant arguments and physical confrontations. The couple had 4 children together, but their union was far from harmonious. Leona's frustration with Merle's criminal record and erratic behavior only fueled the discord. The tension escalated during Merle's time in San Quentin, when Leona became pregnant by another man. This betrayal deeply wounded Merle, leaving scars that lingered long after their divorce in 1964. Merle's second marriage, to Bonnie Owens in 1965, marked a turning point in his personal and professional life. Bonnie, the ex-wife of country music legend Buck Owens, became more than just a partner. She was his greatest supporter. She helped Merle navigate the complexities of the music industry, touring with him and serving as his backup singer. Bonnie's influence extended beyond the stage, providing stability and encouragement as Merle's career skyrocketed. Despite their eventual divorce in 1978, the two remained close friends, with Bonnie continuing to perform alongside Merle until her passing in 2006. Following his split from Bonnie, Merle married fellow country singer Leona Williams in 1978. While their relationship was passionate, it was also fraught with conflict. Both had strong personalities, and their frequent arguments eventually took a toll. Merle later admitted he wasn't in the right emotional place to make the marriage work, and the two divorced in 1983 after 5 turbulent years together. His fourth marriage, to Debbie Parrott in 1985, was less publicized but equally short-lived. Their union lasted only a few years before ending in divorce in 1991. By this time, Merle was struggling not only with the challenges of maintaining relationships, but also with his growing battles against addiction. It wasn't until Merle's fifth and final marriage to Teresa Lane in 1993 that he found a sense of stability. Teresa, 25 years younger than Merle, brought a calmness to his life that had been missing in his earlier relationships. Together they had 2 children, Ben and Janessa, and their partnership endured until Merle's death in 2016. Teresa provided unwavering support as Merle faced the health challenges and pressures of his later years. Amidst his marital struggles, Merle also grappled with a lifelong battle against addiction. Drugs and alcohol became a way to cope with the pressures of fame, but they often exacerbated the challenges in his personal life. Merle was candid about his struggles in his memoir, My House of Memories, where he reflected on the mistakes he made and the pain his addiction caused those around him. He wrote openly about the grip substances had on his life, admitting that they clouded his judgment and strained his relationships. Yet, even in the depths of his struggles, Merle never shied away from taking responsibility for his actions. His honesty about his battles added a layer of authenticity to his music, resonating with fans who saw him as a flawed yet relatable figure. Merle Haggard's personal turmoil was a reflection of his humanity, imperfect, raw, and deeply emotional. His relationships and battles with addiction left their mark, but they also shaped the artist and man he became. Through it all, Merle remained a testament to resilience, channeling his pain into songs that spoke to the heart of the human experience. Merle Haggard carved out a legacy as an outlaw country legend, cementing his place in the genre with bold, politically charged songs that resonated with a divided America. In the late 1960s, Merle released Okie from Muskogee, a track that became an anthem for conservative values amid the counterculture movement. The song struck a chord with the so-called silent majority, who viewed it as a rejection of the free-spirited, anti-establishment ideals of the time. It celebrated traditional ways of life, capturing the pride of small-town America. Building on this success, Merle followed with The Fighting Side of Me, a fiery anthem that criticized anti-war protests and championed patriotism. Both songs were embraced by conservative audiences, further solidifying Merle's reputation as a voice for those who felt overlooked in a rapidly changing society. Yet these tracks also drew sharp criticism from those who saw them as overly simplistic or divisive. What made Merle's political legacy so intriguing was his own ambivalence about how his songs were interpreted. While Okie from Muskogee became synonymous with anti-counterculture sentiment, Merle later admitted that the track was less about his personal beliefs and more about reflecting the perspective of his audience. He once described it as a character song, meant to highlight the mindset of people in small-town America rather than serve as a manifesto of his own views. Adding to this complexity was the contradiction in Merle's personal life. Despite the song's famous line about not smoking marijuana, Merle was open about his own use of the drug. He later joked that Okie from Muskogee wasn't meant to disparage marijuana, but simply to reflect the values of a particular generation. These contradictions only deepened the intrigue surrounding his music, revealing a man who wasn't easily categorized. Beyond his studio recordings, Merle's dedication to prison performances became a hallmark of his career. Inspired by Johnny Cash's legendary concerts at San Quentin, Merle made it a priority to connect with incarcerated audiences. He performed at prisons across the country, including Fort Leavenworth and Huntsville, offering hope and solidarity to those behind bars. Merle understood the unique struggles of inmates, having walked that path himself. This gave his performances an authenticity that resonated deeply with his audience. He allowed prisoners to guide his set lists, tailoring his shows to their desires and creating an atmosphere of mutual respect. "You let them run the show," Merle once said, "and they let you into their world." These performances were more than just concerts. They were acts of empathy, bridging the gap between artist and audience in a way few could replicate. Merle's willingness to return to the environments that had once defined his darkest days spoke volumes about his character and commitment to redemption. Merle Haggard's political and musical legacy is one of complexity and contradiction. His songs captured the cultural tensions of a generation, while also reflecting the nuances of his own beliefs. Through his prison performances, he demonstrated the power of music to connect and heal, cementing his place as not just a country music legend, but a voice for those often left unheard. In his later years, Merle Haggard faced a series of significant challenges that tested his resilience and determination. By the 2010s, his health began to deteriorate, marked by repeated bouts of pneumonia that severely impacted his ability to perform. The pneumonia was particularly aggressive, affecting both lungs and leaving Merle struggling to breathe. For a man who had built his life on the strength of his voice and presence on stage, this was a devastating blow. Yet despite the physical toll, Merle remained committed to his craft. Performing wasn't just a job for him, it was a lifeline. Even as he battled illness, Merle found solace in his music, often saying that singing and being on stage made him feel better. "I always felt healthier after a show," he remarked, highlighting the therapeutic role that music played in his life. His determination to continue performing even when his health faltered was a testament to his passion and dedication to his fans. The health struggles of his later years weren't the only challenges Merle faced. In 1992, he was forced to file for bankruptcy, a moment that shook him to his core. The timing was particularly bittersweet, as the bankruptcy coincided with the birth of his youngest son, Ben, with his fifth wife, Teresa Lane. The juxtaposition of welcoming new life into the world while facing financial ruin was a humbling experience for Merle. The bankruptcy stemmed from years of financial mismanagement and the pressures of maintaining his career during a time when the music industry was rapidly evolving. For someone who had always prided himself on his independence and ability to weather life's storms, the bankruptcy was a sobering reminder of the fragility of success. Despite the setback, Merle used the experience to reassess his priorities and rebuild his life with renewed focus. In the midst of these struggles, Merle often reflected on the restlessness that had defined him throughout his life. He spoke candidly about the internal battles he faced, describing a sense of unease that followed him even in moments of triumph. "There's a restlessness in my soul that I've never been able to conquer," he once admitted. This restlessness, he believed, was both a source of his creative drive and a burden that kept him from fully embracing peace. Merle's reflections revealed a man who was deeply introspective, aware of both his strengths and flaws. He openly acknowledged the mistakes he had made, from his battles with addiction to the toll his lifestyle had taken on his relationships and health. Yet, even in the face of these challenges, Merle remained committed to living authentically, embracing both the peaks and valleys of his journey. In his later years, Merle Haggard's life was a testament to resilience and perseverance. Despite health setbacks, financial struggles, and the emotional weight of his past, he continued to share his gift with the world. His ability to confront life's difficulties with honesty and grace cemented his legacy not just as a country music icon, but as a symbol of the human spirit's capacity to endure. In his final years, Merle Haggard found the peace and stability he had long sought, thanks largely to the unwavering support of his fifth wife, Teresa Lane. Their bond was deeply rooted in mutual respect and love, with Teresa providing the grounding force that Merle needed after a lifetime of turbulence. Together, they built a life centered on family, raising their two children, Ben and Janessa, and cherishing the quiet moments away from the spotlight. Despite facing health challenges in his later years, Merle's dedication to music never wavered. Even as his body began to falter, his spirit remained unbroken. Music had always been his lifeline, and he continued to perform for as long as his health allowed. For Merle, The stage wasn't just a place to sing. It was a sanctuary where he could connect with his audience and reaffirm his legacy. On April 6, 2016, Merle Haggard passed away on his 79th birthday, bringing an extraordinary life to its inevitable close. It was a poignant end for a man whose journey had been marked by both incredible triumphs and profound struggles. His death left a void in the world of country music, but it also solidified his place as one of the genre's most influential and authentic voices. The outpouring of grief that followed was a testament to the impact Merle had on generations of fans and fellow musicians. Willie Nelson, a longtime friend and collaborator, called him one of the greatest artists and storytellers in American music history. Ringo Starr expressed his admiration on social media, writing, "Merle was a hero of mine. Peace and love to his family." These tributes, along with countless others, highlighted the respect and affection Merle inspired among those who knew him and those who were touched by his music. Merle Haggard's passing marked the end of an era, but his legacy lives on through his timeless songs and the indelible mark he left on country music. His life, a testament to resilience and redemption, continues to inspire and resonate with audiences around the world. As fans reflect on his story, they are reminded that even in the face of life's greatest challenges, it is possible to create something enduring and beautiful. Merle Haggard's influence on country music and beyond remains undeniable. As one of the founding figures of outlaw country, his fearless approach to songwriting and storytelling paved the way for a generation of artists to embrace authenticity and challenge the status quo. His anthems like Mama Tried and Okie from Muskogee stand as timeless pieces of Americana, capturing the struggles, values, and complexities of the American experience. What made Merle truly unforgettable wasn't just his music, but the contradictions that defined him. He was a man of contrasts, tough yet tender, rebellious yet reflective. His songs could celebrate defiance one moment and express deep regret the next. These dualities made him relatable to audiences who saw their own struggles mirrored in his work. His impact extends far beyond his hits. Modern artists continue to cite Merle as a key influence, drawn to his honesty and unflinching commitment to his craft. His storytelling, deeply rooted in his own experiences, set a standard for authenticity that resonates across genres and generations. Merle Haggard's life was a testament to the power of redemption and resilience. Through his music, he turned pain into poetry, creating a legacy that remains as relevant today as it was at the height of his career. His story serves as a reminder that even the hardest paths can lead to extraordinary achievements. As the world continues to celebrate his contributions, Merle Haggard stands as a symbol of raw authenticity and perseverance, inspiring generations to find strength in their struggles and beauty in their truth. Merle Haggard's life was a journey of incredible highs and devastating lows, a story of resilience, redemption, and raw authenticity. From his troubled beginnings and time in prison to his rise as one of country music's most iconic figures, Merle's legacy is one of perseverance and passion. His music continues to resonate, telling stories of struggle, hope, and the human spirit. We invite you to explore Merle's timeless songs and reflect on the impact he had on country music and beyond. If his story inspired you, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more tales about the legends who shaped the world of music. Thank you for joining us in celebrating the life and legacy of Merle Haggard.